Male job is to search for a fertile female, impregnate them. Our brains have many more things we have to do at the same time. That doesn't mean we're not as logical or as scientific.
Right.
I think machismo has been more highly developed in Latin countries.
Dr. Luan Brinzadein, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Luan, you have written these wonderful books about the female brain and the masculine brain. You are an MD, correct? So, the brain starts being feminine? That's...
Well, you know, what happens is the brain is, at conception, the chromosome for the male, the Y, goes in, and then at 8 weeks of fetal life,
Right.
the tiny testicles in the male start to pump out huge amounts of testosterone, marinates the male brain, change the brain circuits in the brain into male. So it increases the size of the area in the brain called the area for sexual pursuit
Really?
and all of the male brain circuits. So when the baby is born, it's either the male brain or the female brain.
And so that the basic difference is the quantity of testosterone?
Yes, in the
Really?
baby. So if there's no testosterone, no circuits are perturbed by testosterone, the baby is born female brain.
So it's natural that we females don't pursue sexuality as much as male?
No, we are wired to say, come hither. We want to dress and make the male want us. But the male brain is made to pursue fertile females and impregnate them. Mother Nature made it that way.
There's
their
no
only
way
job.
around.
That's their only job. Male job is to search for a fertile female, impregnate them. His DNA goes into next generation. His job is done.
That's what they have to do here and nothing more.
That's their job.
Okay, and females? What about females?
Wow. Female brain circuits are wired especially to take care of helpless infants and to encourage the male to come. So, you know, she needs to dress and do all the
Seduce.
things for sexual
And say you're
enhancement.
the most intelligent person I've ever met. Animal I've ever met. Okay. Uh-huh.
And then she needs to be able to empathize with the infant because human babies are born because the female pelvis is very narrow compared to the big baby's head. So human babies are born at very, very helpless. No verbal ability to say, Mama, I want this or that.
Uh-huh.
So the baby is born very helpless. Female brains need to be able to understand with no words
Right.
what the needs are of helpless baby to keep the baby alive. Our great-great-great-great-grandmothers who were the best at keeping helpless infants alive.
Now, we are in this world many years, much more than to have sex and to raise children. So in the other things we do, how does that translate? For example, thinking. What is the difference of female thinking and male thinking?
So one thing to make sure that's very clear
Uh-huh.
is that the male and female brain are more alike than different. After all, we are the same species.
What
So
percentage?
IQ points,
Yeah.
IQ and intelligence is the same between male and female brain. So the intelligence is the same.
But it's not the same sort of intelligence.
But we have slightly different kinds of intelligence when it comes to reproduction
Okay.
and hormones of reproductions and hormones of sexual urges and hormones of maternal caring.
But what about this idea that men are more logical and more focused and females look around in 360 degrees and are more receptive to nonverbal situations.
So remember, if you take fertile female ages, right, the age of females when they're having babies, you know,
Right.
in that time of their life, they have many other distractions that are very important. And even though males, at least in the United States, males, and especially in European countries, they're expected to help take care of the babies more and more, right?
Right.
They do the help with the housework and the cooking and the caring for the baby and taking to daycare, taking to school, you know. It's very common now for American fathers to be very involved with the children.
It's happening here
Yeah,
too.
here too. So that's and women want that kind of male. So we're selecting them, you know, for that.
Right.
But that stage, even then, females take care of maybe 75% of the management of the family, management of the children. So our brains have many more things we have to do at the same time. That doesn't mean we're not as logical or as scientific or as anything. It just means we have more things we have to do.
Uh-huh.
Once the children leave home, you know, the female brain can be single-minded and more focused.
No, but we're talking about what the brain determines. What else? The emotions. What is the difference between how the female brain deals with emotions and the male brain?
So I think good thing to remember about fertile females, right? So that means the ones who have the menstrual cycle. Every week, the hormones change. They go up on the 2 weeks, and then they go down on the second 2 weeks, right? So our hormones are making brain changes every week. Male brain is testosterone maybe a little higher in the morning, much higher at Christmas time, at December.
Really?
Mother
Why?
Nature made it so that more male testosterone and sexual interest in December in the northern hemisphere, because the babies will be born 9-10 months later in harvest season in October.
Oh, wow.
So it has a natural, you know, it's been this way for
natural
hundreds
selection.
of thousands of years. So the babies that were born in October, they have more chance to survive because there's more food, right, around for the mothers to make milk, etc. So the male testosterone doesn't go up every week. It goes up higher in December in the Christmas time season.
Right, but what does it mean about things like jealousy?
Okay.
Women are more jealous naturally than men?
So jealousy is got some sex differences, right?
Right.
So what basically happens, it's important to understand the biological importance of jealousy as an emotion, because for the man, he only has to go out, search fertile females, impregnate them, and then he needs to stick around in humans because the baby is born very helpless, to help the mother care for the survival of the baby.
But that's just 1 year?
But he doesn't know if it's his baby or not.
Right.
Right? She may have messed around with some other guy.
Uh-huh.
So he has to guard her. So the function of jealousy in the male brain circuit is to guard the female, to keep her sexually from everybody, other male, no males allowed. He has to have brain circuits that if he sees another male encroaching on his territory, he's very angry and he will fight off that
So men are
male.
more jealous?
They have an aggressive fighting spirit for that. Females, though, they need jealousy because they need to keep that man, we say in English, they need to keep their meal ticket. Ticket
right.
around.
The provider has to be
The provider
around.
has to be around.
Uh-huh.
Keep their meal ticket. And if she sees the male being interested in another female or a little emotionally interested in another female, she has to basically make sure she manipulates that man to keep him there with her and fend off the other females. That's her job for jealousy. So jealousy in the brain circuit serves very important purpose to keep the male and female together, to make sure they're there to help the baby, at least until age between 2 years old and 4 years old for babies.
What about verbality? The bias is that we females are more talkative. We're very good with words.
Okay. So interesting. there's all this ideology, and I even talk about it in the Female Brain book, about females being more talkative. We talk differently. They actually did a study only a couple of years ago. They put the recorders on the males and females, followed them around for 3 weeks, then analyzed the data, found males and females actually, in the study, they were college students, university students, they talked about the same amount, but they talked about different things. The males talk a lot when it comes to sports. You met a bunch of guys watching the sports team or in the bar, they will talk, and they talk in as fast as we women talk in the kitchen about gossip. We like to do that and keep up everything that's happening. So it's the topic, it's the context. Females also, we finish each other's sentence, we start speaking before the other female is finished. You don't ever do that to a male.
Right.
He feels you're interrupting him, and he will get mad because he thinks you're interrupting and you're not listening to him.
That leads me to the next subject. What about cooperation and domination? The bias is men are more about dominating. Women, we are more about cooperating.
It has to do with machismo?
Is machismo just a Latino thing, or is machismo is wired in the male brain?
I think machismo has been more highly developed in Latin countries than in other countries.
They have more permission
it's more
here.
highly developed. So you've got every culture allows some gender-specific behaviors. The behaviors of the male are allowed in different cultures, different reasons.
Right.
The male doesn't get pregnant, so his family isn't trying to keep him at home from getting pregnant.
Right.
Trying to protect the girls from males who are searching for fertile females. Islamic cultures, they have very much even stricter rules about not having their fertile females out in a way that males can see them. So it's cultures get very upset about the fertile female being out alone.
It's unlucky we only have 15 minutes, and before our time finishes, I want to ask you about what is happening, the gender revolution. What do you think about feminism? You that know as a scientist and not as a philosopher or a politician or, a social worker, you are a scientist. What do you know about the relevance of feminism?
So this is very important. I think that also remember what happened in the 1980s, 90s, and up to 2000 is all of a sudden biological technology exploded. You could have birth control. You could have a choice about children. We not touch children. That made all the difference in feminism. Females started going into the workplace and started having careers and jobs and fewer children.
Yeah.
And then by the year 1990s, 2000, you can test the baby to see who the father really is.
Right.
So now the guarding of the mother about who the baby is, fathers can tell immediately whether it's his baby or not. So no longer any need.
And you celebrate
for
this, that human intelligence is, controlling nature. Do you celebrate that?
So I think it's important to understand what biology and hormones is doing to us, because that gives us more free will. If we understand that.
More choices.
See, if you don't understand that, your free will is taken away.
Exactly.
If you understand the biology about the hormones and the behavior and how it's pushing you to feel a certain way or do a behavior, then you have more free will, because you can make a choice about whether to let that push you or to block that from pushing you.
Dr. Luan Brinsedine, it has been a pleasure. We have to read your book, Female Brain, Masculine Brain.
Right, so it's El Cerebro Femenino.
El Cerebro Femenino, it's in Spanish.
And El Cerebro Masculino.
It's in the bookstores.
Everywhere, yes.
Thanks a lot.
Muchas gracias.
A pleasure.
Okay.
Ahora que ya sé de la vida,
Pero no
sé
era
que
eso.
jamás fui una lesbiana.
Sí, no es
porque
una-
siempre fui un hombre. Nadie de mi familia podría haberse imaginado que físicamente iba a llegar a hacer esto. Yo era la princesita de papá.
¿Y vas a tener hijos?
Quiero creer que sí.